A young woman steps through the heavy wooden doors of a remote Italian convent. The air is thick with incense and silence. She's left everything behind, her home, her doubts, her old life, in search of something pure. Peace, purpose, maybe even salvation. She takes the vows: silence, obedience, devotion, total surrender. There is a period of time when it seems appropriate. The prayer utterances reverberate through the stone corridors. When vigilant eyes are present, the gardens flourish. After that, however, an improbable event takes place. Her physical appearance starts to shift. A pregnancy develops in her. There are no guests, no recollection of any male. A miracle, the nuns refer to it as. Celebrations are held by the church. All of the world is filled with amazement. On the other hand, this is the question that no one in the convent is willing to articulate aloud. What happens if it is not divine in any way? What if it is a planned thing, developed in a covert manner? Mostly due to the fact that this is not a fantasy at the moment, in the real world that we all live in, outside of the movies and outside of the faith. We already have the ability to generate life without the need for sexual activity. No physical contact, with no other option. We have been given the keys to the very act of creation by the scientific community. This is precisely the reason why the horror in Immaculate strikes such a profound chord. There is more to it than what takes place within the walls of that convent. Enter the world. Sydney Sweeney brings a young American lady named Cecilia to life in the film Immaculate, which will be released in 2024. Cecilia is brought to life with a raw and unsettling intensity. Not every nun is the same as Cecilia. She is a person who has survived. A frozen lake was the location where she came dangerously close to drowning as a youngster. She was declared dead for 7 harrowing minutes before being brought back to life. After that near-death experience, she was sure that God had spared her life for a specific reason. She embarks on a journey that takes her across the Atlantic to a gorgeous and secluded convent that is tucked in the countryside of Italy. A sanctuary of peaceful ritual and order. A location that provides care for clergy members who are getting older. In the beginning, everything seems to be holy. The stained glass windows provide for the gentle illumination of the morning. When they move in perfect accord, sisters move like shadows. She is looking for structure, and the routines, prayer, work, and silence provide that for her. However, beneath that placid exterior, there is another entity that is stirring. There is a sensation of being observed. Regarding the act of being measured, it is not enough to say that the convent is a place of worship. It is also a machine of obedience. And as we will see in the following section, obedience is the ideal environment for control to take root to settle in. Cecilia makes an effort. Several of her sisters form a close bond with her. In the smallest of moments, she discovers warmth. The Mother Superior's gaze seemed to linger for an abnormally lengthy period of time. Father Tedeschi, the gentlemanly priest, provides advice that, in some way, appears to have been predetermined. Moreover, the tranquility starts to break down gradually. Voices heard in the corridors, a notion that this location was constructed for purposes other than worshiping God. But in order to conceal something from him, the movie is never in a hurry. The dread is allowed to build up like a candle that is burning slowly. You have a sense of being alone. There is a power imbalance that you feel. You are right there with her, your pulse hammering, wondering how this could possibly be true as the news that Cecilia is pregnant finally breaks. It is the most impossible news that could possibly happen. The miracle. First, it takes place. This is the pregnancy test, that ultrasonic wave. She had no explanation, no recollection, and no consent for the life that was developing inside of her. A jubilant party breaks out within the convent. Certainly, this is not a typical conception. They had been praying for a miracle, and now it has taken place. In the modern era of virgin birth, from being a novice to being a selected one, Cecilia has been upped. They will safeguard her. More isolation is imposed on her. On the other hand, something seems profoundly wrong. Lightning depicted the wrath of a god. God's punishment was to bring about plagues. A child who was without a father at birth? It is a miracle. Sacred language has always been used by the church to cover up that which is unknown. In this way, questions are avoided. The doubt is put to rest. But the age of candles in Scripture is no longer the one in which we find ourselves. This is the age of laboratories and gene sequencers, and we are living in it. In addition, science has answers that are icy, precise, and terrifying for practically everything that was formerly thought to be impossible. Therefore, the pregnancy itself is not the source of the actual terror when the nuns refer to it as a miracle. A rising number of people are beginning to suspect that the miracle was faked. This blindfold is the greatest form of blindfolding, and it is trust. The convent as a laboratory. Let us take a more in-depth look at the actual setting. In Immaculate, there is a convent that is not like any other monastery. It has a rigorous hierarchy, is self-contained, and is located in a distant location. The arrival of young women is marked by their fragility and faith. More senior sisters keep a watchful eye on them with a calm authority. The environment as a whole is precisely constructed for control. It is completely isolated from the outside world, which is where concerns could spread and inquiries could start. This goes beyond the realm of ambient horror. This terrifying metaphor can be used to any closed system that functions without being subject to examination. Throughout the course of the movie, Cecilia gradually comes to the realization that the miracle may have been the consequence of something much more calculated, medical assistance that was camouflaged as divine intent. In the presence of a cross, the convent transforms into a laboratory. Who are the sisters? Unwitting volunteers in the grand experiment that was being conducted by another person. The movie does an excellent job of utilizing this solitude. There will be no phones. There will be no visits from family. Not a way out. Just Cecilia's faith, her obedience, and the life that was developing inside of her, which she had never chosen. It compels us to ask, in our current world, how simple would it be to conceal advanced reproductive experiments behind walls of authority? Reality check, science has arrived. Let's get rid of the delusion totally. People are already making life in ways that our forebears would have called witchcraft if they had seen it in this video. Begin with IF, or in vitro fertilization. Louise Brown, the first test tube baby, was born in the UK in 1978. More than 13 million kids have been born around the world using IF since then. In the US, 2024 was a historic year since it was the first time that more than 100,000 IF babies were born in a single year. That makes up about 3% of all births in the US. The technique is clinical, exact, and utterly apart from closeness. Eggs are taken. The sperm is gathered. In a lab dish, embryos grow. Then one or more are put into a woman's uterus. No sex, no love. Just biology, with fluorescent lights keeping it in check. The success rates depend on age. About half of women under 35 succeed, while the percentages drop drastically after 40. However, the technology gets better every year. And the effects are huge. IF already lets same-sex couples, single parents, and others who have trouble getting pregnant have kids. But it also lets in something darker. A complete dissociation between sex and making things. IF is not the end of it. The Nobel Prize-winning gene-editing tool CRISPR-Cas9 has already changed medicine. The first CRISPR-based treatment for sickle cell disease was authorized in 2023. There are now dozens of clinical trials going on for everything from muscular dystrophy to congenital blindness. Scientists can now cut out genes that cause disease with surgical accuracy. But what is the true frontier? Editing embryos in humans. In 2018, Chinese scientist Jiankui startled the world by saying that he had used CRISPR to change the DNA of twin girls such that they would not get HIV. People said the experiment was wrong and against the law. He was sent to jail. But the genie is out of the bottle. Today, companies including Orchid Health, Genomic Prediction, Parasite, and Nucleus Genomics offer polygenic embryo screening. They sequence the DNA of many embryos during IF and then rate them like products on a shelf, giving them scores for things like risk of heart disease, cancer, schizophrenia, height, IQ, and longevity. Parents spend tens of thousands of dollars to pick their best embryo. Wealthy people in Silicon Valley and the tech elite are already using these services. Think about it. We aren't just making life anymore. We are making it. choosing characteristics, taking out the undesirable. Ethicists are having a hard time keeping up with how quickly the border between healing and augmentation is becoming less clear. And if we can do this in open, regulated clinics, what's stopping someone from doing it in a secret lab without anybody watching? Without permission? Without any moral limits at all? The dark theory. Now step back into that convent with fresh eyes, isolated, walled off from the outside world, ruled by absolute authority figures who demand unquestioning obedience. The women inside aren't just disciples, they're the perfect subjects. Young, faithful, cut off from family and friends. No one to notice if something goes wrong. What if the pregnancy isn't a miracle, but a controlled experiment? What if the convent isn't a house of God, but a sterile laboratory wearing a cross? The easiest way to hide something profoundly unnatural is to wrap it in something sacred. Faith becomes the perfect cover story. No one questions a miracle. No one demands DNA tests on the divine. The film brilliantly uses this setting to mirror our real fears. History is littered with examples of power, hiding behind piety, forced adoptions, secret experiments on the vulnerable. Institutions that claim moral authority while committing moral atrocities. Immaculate doesn't spell it out. It lets you feel it. The dread that someone, somewhere, is already using the tools we've built. If Crispr embryo selection, not to heal families, but to play God in the shadows. Control over creation. Throughout history, power has always come down to one thing: control. Control over land, control over people, control over belief systems. But the ultimate power, the one that shapes every generation to come, is control over creation itself. Who gets to be born, how they are born, and, increasingly, what they are born as. If you can decide which embryos live and which are discarded, if you can edit their genes before the first cell division, you don't just control individuals. You steer the future of the entire species. That is the quiet terror at the heart of Immaculate. Birth, the most natural, mysterious, sacred human experience, could become artificial. Industrial. Owned. And once that power exists, who will wield it? Governments chasing better citizens? Corporations chasing profit? Billionaires chasing designer heirs? The convent in the film becomes a chilling metaphor for any closed system, religious, scientific, or political, that decides it knows better than nature, or better than God. DNA, identity, and the soul. Now let's go deeper, into the territory that keeps philosophers and theologians awake at night. If a child is created through manipulation of DNA in a lab, is she still fully human, or is she something manufactured? And here's the question that cuts to the bone. Does she have a soul? For centuries, people believed life began with a divine spark, something beyond chemistry and cells. But now we're stepping into that role. We're becoming the creators. So what happens when humans replace God? Do we create life, or do we simply manufacture it? And if it's manufactured, what does that make us? The film forces you to confront this without easy answers. Cecilia's body is no longer her own. The life inside her was placed there by forces she never chose. Her identity, her autonomy, her very humanity is under siege. And in the real world, the same questions loom. Will future children look at their parents and wonder which traits were chosen, which were edited out? Will they feel less real because their genome was optimized? These aren't abstract debates. They're coming. And they will redefine what it means to be human. The true horror. Most viewers will walk away thinking the horror of Immaculate is the isolation, the tension, the unknown lurking in the shadows. That's surface-level fear. The real horror is the total loss of control. A woman carrying something she never asked for. A system deciding what happens to her body. A truth hidden behind centuries of faith. And the scariest part? It doesn't feel impossible anymore. It feels close. It feels like the next logical step in the world we're already building. Bring it back to reality. We are already marching in this way outside of the theater. Screening for genes. Embryos made by design. businesses that promise the best baby possible. Artificial wombs are going from being tested on lambs to helping premature babies, and maybe even full ectogenesis in the future. Life is becoming less of a mystery and more of a process with time, a system, a choice. There is no turning back once we acknowledge that people can and should govern creation. History reveals that humans don't often choose to hold back when they understand they have God-like power. So maybe the true question isn't, could something like Immaculate happen? Wow, if that gave you chills, you're not alone. Immaculate isn't just a horror movie, it's a warning wrapped in a habit. The tools to engineer birth are already in our hands. The only question left is whether we'll use them wisely, or whether we'll let power and profit decide for us. If this video made you think twice about miracles, science, and the future of birth, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Tell me in the comments, would you ever edit your child's genes, or does this whole idea terrify you? Thanks for watching. Stay curious and stay awake. See you in the next one.